is consider your market. Consider your market. What I mean by that? Consider your market. First of all, don't just recruit your friends. Don't just recruit your friends. We have a tendency, and I remember when I was in youth ministry, I remember having this tendency as well, that I would recruit people that I was close to. I already knew them. I was already comfortable with them. They were easy to ask. Number one, I mean, it was easy to ask my friends to help me. It was easy to ask people who already I knew that loved me and already provided helped my life or whatever. It was easy to ask those people, right? So those are the easy go-tos. However, the most effective people in your ministry can be the ones that you don't even currently associate with. That forces us as leaders to expand our relationships is really what it does in the big picture. But you know as well as I do that your friends are limited to a certain number of people, right? And your friends within that small group of people, especially if you're non-sociable, within that group of people, small group of people, maybe half of those or even less may have a real passion for the actual ministry that you do. They may love you, and it doesn't take away from their love for you, but they're just not into youth ministry. They're not into shock and awe. They're not into kids ministry. They're whatever the case may be. They're just not into it, and so your market, so to speak, gets smaller and smaller when you think about it in relation to your actual friends that you have. And so we have to force ourselves to broaden our horizons and our scope of recruiting to not just be in our friends. Second thing is recruit people who do not currently have a function. We're talking about the market of your recruiting. Recruit people who do not currently have a function. It gives them, first of all, it gives them direction. Where they may be floundering. There are many people in the body of Christ, and I'm sure you can look across our sanctuary on any given Sunday, who are just floundering. They're not doing anything in the church. They're just coming and sitting on Sunday morning, and then they're going home, and that's as much involvement as they have, right? Well, sometimes our simple step of recruiting will give them a purpose. It'll give them a connection and a hook to be able to transform their life in a way that service only transforms it. There's nothing like giving out of what God has put in you. And so many times our growth as a Christian becomes stagnant because we don't give out. We just get used to just taking in and taking in and taking in. And it's up to us as leaders to give them an avenue to be able to give out. And so that's one of the ways that we can do it. Next thing it does is give them ownership of the vision. It gives them ownership of the vision. Nobody will be as passionate about a vision as someone who owns it. That's why nobody works as hard at your ministry as you do, because you're the one that carries the vision for it. Nobody has as much passion about a vision as the person who owns it. So if you can take that sense of ownership and give it to somebody else, then that'll put a passion within them. Third thing is recruit new people. Recruit new people. Now, when I say new people, I'm not necessarily talking about new people to your ministry. Obviously, if you recruit somebody, they're new to your ministry. But I'm talking about new people to the church. Again, if we look around in our sanctuary, there are a lot of people that I bet we could go around the room today and we can start naming people, and some of us will say, well, I don't know who that person is. I don't know who that person is. I don't know who that person is. But yet they've been going to church here for weeks and sometimes even months, and we don't know them. And those are the perfect people to begin to recruit. Obviously, there's a process to doing that. You get to know something about them, to see, if they're even qualified, so to speak, recruit for you, and some other things that we'll talk about in a minute. But those are the perfect people to begin to recruit, because obviously they don't have a function in the ministry yet, and they're trying, being a new person, they're trying to plug in. It's hard for somebody to come into an established system and just insert themselves, especially if they're a shy personality, or if they're not a go-getter, maybe they're not a self-initiator, maybe they're not a self-manager, whatever the case may be. It's very hard. It's hard for somebody, unless they're invited, to even come to church, to a new church, right? And to assimilate into a church regardless of service, let alone insert themselves into a team of a volunteer setting. And it also helps build a solid connection for those people, to get them on a team, just like to get them in a discipleship group builds a connection with them to other people. It'll do the same by getting them into a team, because it starts to form relationships. Relationships are built so many times by working arm in arm with somebody else next to you, getting in the trenches, so to speak, and that builds relationship.